Hello, everyone. This is David Vogelpohl, the CMO of FastSpring, and today I'm going to talk to you about mistakes you can avoid to help get the most out of steering from inside your game to your game's web store. For a little bit of context here, I've been optimizing e-commerce experiences since 1996, and part of my role here at FastSpring is to help FastSpring's customers get the most from their web store and their direct-to-consumer strategy. I will often audit our bigger customers' web stores and their steering to help give advice, and what I've done is I've collected some of the mistakes I've seen in some of my audits to share with you here in this video to give you ideas on how to get the most out of your web store and your direct-to-consumer strategy. In order to kick us off, I thought it would be good to understand what good looks like. In this GIF, this is the steer safe approach by FastSpring. The GIF is going to recycle here in a minute, but what we're going to see is there's a CTA in the game that links directly to a web store checkout. I'm using native payment options, in this case Google Pay. I double tap and pay, return the player to the game, and the coins are added. Super smooth player experience, and this is an example of what good looks like. A clear CTA with clear value propositions, a fluid player experience, native payment options, and returning to the player to the game right after the purchase. Clean like a jelly bean. So what are some mistakes that publishers make, and what are some mistakes that maybe you're making that you could avoid? In order to show you this, I decided to make a fake game, so I wouldn't be picking on any particular game out there who might have made one mistake or another. And in order to create a fake game, I made this game Blaze Alert, a firefighter game. So do not go to the App Store because this game does not exist. So the first mistake I often see publishers make is on the CTA for the store. In this example, we can see that Blaze Alert has a battle pass called a Station Pass, and they offer a basic pass, an elite bundle with more levels, and then they provide a CTA. This purple box is indicating things I'm going to call out on these slides, but it's basically saying, hey, go to our web shop, and you can also buy the battle pass there. What they don't do is mention that the battle pass on the web shop comes with even more levels and even more bonus medals. And so if you're not calling out those additional benefits from your web store in the CTAs in your game, that is definitely a missed opportunity. Another missed opportunity that I see a lot is linking directly just to the store rather than to a product page talking about that specific battle pass. Or better yet, if you'll remember from the GIF I saw earlier, linking to a checkout for that battle pass. So if you're just linking to your store off of these CTAs and not deeper in your funnel like a product page or a checkout page specifically for that battle pass, you're adding more friction to the player. It's going to be harder for them to understand what's going on, get access to those additional benefits, and get you access to that additional profit. Another mistake I see folks make is when they link to the game, they don't pass along authentication tokens to automatically log the player into the web store. Most games are going to require you be logged into the web store so they can, of course, associate your purchase with your entitlement system, whether it be Unity Gaming Services, something you built on your own, Firebase, or whatever. You really want to be making sure when you link to your web store that the player, if you can, is automatically logged in. Another mistake I see people make is if you look on the left side on that left purple box, you can see this is a modal pop-up for the authentication window, and in landscape mode it looked a little weird. So my fake game Blaze Alert is played in landscape mode, so I'm showing a lot of these screenshots here in landscape mode to illustrate that even if you're testing in portrait, which of course you want to optimize for both portrait and landscape, double down on the version though that your game is played in, because this is likely how your players are going to be experiencing your store. Next mistake I see folks make are in things like the hot deals section we see here. I often see this in daily deals as well, which is where there are no deals listed, or maybe only one deal listed and it's not very compelling. If you don't have any deals, you should add them or remove the section from your web store. If there is a requirement to get the deals, like you need to get to a certain level or something like that, list this here. Make that information available, but don't just leave your hot deals or daily deals section blank, even for players that haven't achieved whatever they're supposed to achieve in order to get access to those deals. This is another mistake and missed opportunity. Next up, I want to talk about checkout. In this example, we can see that the publisher has defaulted to credit card as the default payment method, and the player is on iOS. So of course, defaulting them to Apple Pay would be much better. In the FastSpring world, we support both methodologies, and so you can default the player to Apple Pay or Google Pay, depending on what device type they're using. Or if you wanted to, you could still default them to credit card for some reason. But my advice, of course, when I'm doing steering is to default them to Apple or Google Pay. We also have different checkout options and layouts you can use. In this case, we can see the payment methods are defaulted horizontally. We can also have a stacked view that is maybe a little bit better optimized for portrait. In both cases, of course, we want to make sure we are delivering a responsive approach to our checkout views. And of course, FastSpring does this. We've A/B tested both types of layouts in various contexts, and they basically tie. Most of your players are going to be what I call motivated buyers. They want to buy the thing you're selling. They'll generally be okay with the orientation of these in any case, but the important thing is if they're coming from Apple device or Google device, default them to Apple and Google Pay. That will drastically increase your conversion rates. Once the player has completed their purchase, you're likely going to show them a thank you page. Thank you for buying our Founders Station pack. But in this example, we can see that the publisher did not provide a link back to the game. So if I was in the game and I saw an ad to buy the Battle Pass on the web store, and I went to the web store and I bought it, and then I just get to this thank you page, well, then it's up to me to navigate back to the game, and I might get distracted and go to social media instead and not necessarily keep playing the game. And of course, you want the player to keep playing the game. So add a CTA to these thank you pages, or you can actually automatically return the player to the game. If you'll remember from this GIF, you can see I've completed the transaction. Boom, I'm back in the game. I can see the coins are added. That's a great example of what good looks like there, but don't leave them stranded on your thank you pages. Another area where I see folks miss is they will put an ad for the web shop in the game. That sounds great. That's super awesome. However, there's no CTAs on the products in the shop in the game. You could actually say, okay, look, I can buy this 2000 axe thing for $99.99, but maybe I get 2,500 axes or Warden's Amber, should I say, for $99.99 on the web store. You could actually have CTAs for each one of those products. Again, in this GIF, we can see there the 50 bonus gems on that CTA. So again, it's not just an ad for your store inside the shop in your game. You can actually put CTAs next to individual products to show people the benefit of those additional values. Next up, this mistake is super common in gaming web stores, and that is to not forget the open graph data. In the Blaze Alert game, we can see there is no open graph data. So when I post a link in Discord, all I see is the link. In the lower example, we can see the FastSpring website. We can see we have a nice clear title, we have a description, and we have an image. Well, if you're linking to a specific Battle Pass page, this can be really helpful for helping you convert. Only having the naked link with no open graph data to show in Discord and other social media contexts can really harm your ability to promote what you're promoting. The other mistake I see on open graph data is having only one set of open graph data for the entire store. So in other words, instead of having individual product pages for each battle pass or gem pack or whatever the thing is you're selling, you just have the same exact open graph data for the entire store. Of course, it would be much better when linking to a battle pass, because it's that particular time for you, to have your title, your description, and your image support that. Not just say, oh, this is our web store, come here, but rather this is the information about the Battle Pass. It's going to really supercharge your social media promotions on Discord, Facebook, or otherwise, but do not forget the open graph data. Another thing you want to pay close attention to is your page load time. Of course, this is especially true with mobile games where internet connections can be spotty. You're very familiar with this, of course, when optimizing your game, but now you need to apply those lessons when optimizing your store. When it comes to your store's pages, you want to be shooting for under 2 seconds of load time. In the example on the right, we can see that store is loading in 0.81 seconds, largest contentful paint, lightning fast. If you use the inspect tool in Chrome and go to performance, you can also get, if you look at the lower right here, this film strip view that will show you what the site looks like at different points in time, so you can get a good idea of what the player is seeing when it loads. Another thing to consider, though, when you're looking at your testing is if you look on the left side, you can see the load time was 3.78 seconds. This is actually the exact same site that's on the right. However, the cookie opt-in has loaded, and that tool, for whatever reason, CookieBot, at least the way it was implemented, added some additional load time there. And we can see the performance score was a lot worse when the cookie opt-in option was enabled. So just keep in mind things like that, not trashing CookieBot or anything. I'm sure it probably had something to do with the implementation on this test. And of course, you definitely want to follow rules when it comes to cookies and privacy laws, GDPR and whatnot. Final set of considerations. These are mistakes I often see folks make when optimizing their web stores. Number one, email marketing. Oftentimes when I make a test purchase on a store, I get no email marketing after the fact. No newsletter, no special deals, no Black Friday promotions, nothing like that. This is going to be super critical as we start thinking about future attribution window optimization on Android and probably iOS in the future, where the app stores will take a fee when you steer, but only in the first 24 hours. So you can steer, get the purchase, and then later email market the player. This is going to be especially helpful when you start thinking about VIPs/whales. Next thing you want to think about that's often overlooked is your advertising. When it comes to your advertising dollars, you're often thinking about it through the lens of UA or player acquisition, but I want you to think about it a little bit differently when it comes to your web store. I want you to also think about it as it relates to profit acquisition. Because what you can do on your web store is drop pixels for Google, Meta, TikTok, or retargeting networks that you can then use to promote your web store to your existing players. My advice here is to focus on your VIPs and whales in order to keep your risk exposure low. But if you have 80% of your revenue coming from 20% of your players, why not show those players ads promoting your web store? This is outside your game. This does not count for things like steering fees. And once you get that first purchase, and you get that pixel set, you now have a lot more latitude on how to advertise. So think about more than just UA when it comes to advertising. Think about profit acquisition in addition to user acquisition. Next mistake I see often are tracking scripts, where the web store has different tracking scripts than the regular website. Maybe it's different tracking vendors, that kind of thing. So if you're using Google Analytics or whatever, just make sure you have consistency there, so that way you can see all of your data in one place. If you are running an affiliate program with Impact Radius or other things, this is super helpful. Perhaps I'm actually a big fan of Impact, but what's even more impactful than that is leveraging a creator program like the one provided by Nexus.gg. Nexus is a partner of ours. There's other vendors that do this, but promoting your game outside of your game is super critical for your D2C strategy, and so Nexus is a great choice for that. And then my last point, I'd made it earlier in some of the other slides, but create specific landing pages or product pages for things like individual gem or coin packs, your battle passes, flight passes, station passes, whatever kind of pass you have. And that should help you with your conversion rate optimization and return on ad spend. If you are just linking to your store and not deep linking to a page that deals with a specific product, you're really missing out on opportunities to increase your conversion rates. So what does all this mean for you? Well, you're going to have to find your own journey for your game and your players. If you need help, FastSpring is happy to help. Go to fastspring.gg, click on request a demo. One of our web store experts will join you. We'll also help give you some advice on how to monetize and get the most out of your direct-to-consumer strategy. Again, my name is David Vogelpohl. I'm the CMO here at FastSpring. I've been optimizing e-commerce funnels since 1996. I hope you enjoyed these tips today, and good luck in developing your own direct-to-consumer strategy, getting the most from your steering, and giving your web shop the experience that your players deserve. Thank you very much.